person in the world. There's no doubt about that. One statement. Your wife can say something to you to make you feel like the worst person in the world. Is this not the case? It's a reality. So the Prophet, he says that these women here, they have this power to distract these men of reason and insight. And what is the description of these women? He says that they are lacking in two things. He says they lack a deficiency in her intellect and in her religion. So therefore, the Prophet, he said these words, and this sister, this companion, she wanted more. How is this? Why is a woman deficient in her intellect? Is a woman more stupid than a man? Is a man naturally smarter than a woman? What is meant by deficiency of intellect? And what is meant by deficiency of deen? A woman, she's not a believer, she's not pious, only men go to paradise. What's meant by this? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the testimony of two women among you is like the testimony of a man. In other words, in the Islamic Sharia, when there is something that needs witnesses, something that needs a testimony, there must be two women equivalent to the testimony of one just man. Why is this, you may ask? How is this, you may ask? That's besides the main understanding of the hadith. Is that the Prophet ﷺ says that this is meant by deficiency of intellect. Now, we're sitting in this classroom. I'm sure there's some sisters that may be smarter than some of the brothers. Naturally. What? You said without a doubt, huh? Allahumma musta'an. Tayyib. There's no doubt about this. But here we're talking of the Islamic ruling is that a woman's testimony is half of a man's testimony. He then said, as for the deficiency of your religion, then it is menstruation. In other words, when men are praying, when men are in the masjid, when men are doing things that they are allowed to do, a woman is not allowed to make the salat. A woman cannot pray, and if she prays, it is unlawful for her to pray, it is invalid for her to pray, and she gets sin. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying here that when you make the salat, your iman does what? Your deen is what? And when you don't pray, your iman is? Everybody understand this? So this is the extraction from the hadith. Make sense now? Iman grows, iman falls. When you pray, your iman skyrockets. And when you don't pray, your iman, everybody clear on this? Your iman may leave 100%. You may not be a Muslim anymore if you don't pray. Or you may be in a state in which you pray from time to time, or whatever the case may be, difference of opinion among these scholars of Islam. So the main benefit that we get from this hadith is that iman does what, brothers and sisters? Increase and decrease. Make sense now? Huh? Khairan inshallah? Tayyib inshallah. The other benefits we get from this hadith is, or now let's ask a question. Let's ask a question. Question is for Mu'tasim. Mu'tasim is going. Yusuf's going. Tayyib. Sister Qadir. Khairan inshallah. Question is for you. If a woman does not pray, why doesn't she make salah? Who told her not to pray when she's menstruating, when she has a menstruation? Who commanded her with that? Did she just decide not to pray because of her monthly cycle, or did someone tell her and explain to her that she shouldn't pray? Understand the question? Repeat the question. Why doesn't a Muslim woman refrain from prayer during menstruation? Why?
Because she's not clean to make.
But who told her that? Where does this come? Where does this teaching come from? Don't give her the answer. La ilaha illallah. Okay, as a Muslim, who told you to pray? Why do you have to make 5 prayers? Only Sister Qadir right now. We'll come back to the other side. Why do you pray 5 times a day? Who told you that?
Because I learned it growing up.
Sorry, you learned to grow up. Who taught your parents? Or the original Muslims? Who taught them? We're going to come back. We need to stay focused on one person right now. It's very important. The Prophet of Islam is the one who told you what to do and what not to do, correct? Yeah. Good. So, therefore, if the Prophet tells you do not make salat when you have menstruation, are you obeying the Prophet or disobeying him? Which one? What are you doing?
Wait, what can you repeat?
When the Prophet says don't pray because of menstruation and you don't pray, are you being obedient or disobedient to the Prophet? Without a doubt, right?
Yeah.
So, the question is, how can a person obey the Prophet and then have their iman deficient? You understand the problem now? The Prophet says don't pray. You refrain from prayer. You don't pray. And then your iman is still false?
No, it increases.
He says
you're following what the Prophet said.
Everybody understand the issue now? He says that the iman increases because you're obeying Prophet. Clear. But the hadith says that the deen is what?
It decreases.
Deficient. So therefore, what is the proper understanding? Do we say that a woman who doesn't pray is getting rewarded from Allah by not praying? Do we say her iman decreases, or do we say her iman stays still? Everybody understand these three scenarios? The Prophet says, sit like that. And when you sit like that, I give you a bad grade for not participating, for not coming up to the class. But you told me to sit still. You understand what I'm saying? Let's repeat it once more.
No, I understand it, but it's just one explanation.
Type. Obeying the Prophet of Islam is a means of increase or decrease of iman. What do you guys think? Without a doubt. Well, there's no doubt about that. Clear. Good. So, the Prophet tells you not to do something, to stay away from prayer. You've listened to the Prophet, you're obeying the Prophet, you're avoiding prayer. Is it fair, or does it make sense for you to say now that your iman is what? Low, because you're being obedient. Everybody understand the concept now? I'm not here to answer the question. I'm here to stir up your minds, inshallah, to get you guys in a critical mindset. Everybody understand this? And how much benefit and how much knowledge you can get from one hadith. How one hadith can lead you to 10 issues. One hadith can lead you to understanding or just the concept of asking questions. And as one of the great scholars of Islam said, أول مراحل النبوغ الاستشكال. He said the first level of becoming an Islamic expert is finding problems. In other words, when you read something and he says it doesn't really make sense, or how can this be? It proves that you're doing what?
Thinking.
Hey, you understand. And the only reason why you consider this to be problematic is based off of what? Based off of what? No. Why is one hadith problematic? Or a verse in the Quran. Some Muslims, they think just hadiths are problematic. Okay? Why is it problematic?
When they don't relate it to the other.
In other words, you're basing something off of the other Islamic knowledge. You understand? You're basing one hadith off of what? The other narrations. To prove that you're thinking critically. To prove that you've read a sufficient or good amount of other narrations. Everybody understand this? So that's the defining difference between a beginner and someone who's an expert, a professional. He sees what the normal person doesn't see. And there's nothing wrong with having a question. There's nothing wrong with having something that doesn't make that much sense to you. That's not the problem. But the problem is allowing doubt to seep into your heart. The problem is seeking the answer to those who don't have it. Everybody understand this? Anybody can get sick. There's nothing wrong with getting sick or getting injured. Now you don't go to the doctors. You don't take the medicine. You don't seek the cure and the remedy. Now something's wrong. You're allowing your health to deteriorate. Everybody got this? You're allowing your what? Your health to deteriorate. One hadith that you misunderstand, one verse in the Quran, then it leads you to something else. And then you have another doubt. And then what do you have the beloved refuge sought person may say, I'm no longer a Muslim. Everybody understand this? Everybody make sense? Got it now? Badr? Khair, inshallah. Let's move on. Before we move on, is there any questions, brothers and sisters? Are there any questions? Before we move on the topic or off the topic, are there any questions?
So your iman decreases when you don't pray, even if you listen to Prophet Muhammad
We say that, first and foremost, we said that we weren't going to answer the question. Yeah, I was just here to cause confusion. No, let me finish. No, this is important. This is important. Why do I say this? I have no problem answering the question for you, but the reason why I'm saying this is because I want you to go home and read more, study more, research more. I just don't want to come into the class and say I'm going to give you everything. I want you to have the desire to learn more yourselves. As we said in the beginning of the class, please, right? The objectives of the class, remember? We said in the objectives of the class. Right? We want to increase and broaden the scope. That's firstly. Secondly is, back to the first point, the teacher of a class or instructor, it is his job to cultivate the student. And sometimes always giving every single specific answer doesn't help the student, but it hurts the student. Just like a coach. I can show you what to do in the field, but what's more beneficial? Me telling you, or you going and practicing 3-4 hours out of the night? Everybody clear on this? And then when you don't get it, it doesn't work, then you come back and says, Coach, I tried my best, please show me. Now there's more appreciation, more respect, and you'll never forget the lesson. Everybody clear on this? As for the specific answer, then we say it is a yes and a no answer. From one aspect, she is obeying the Prophet ﷺ. And obedience to the Prophet ﷺ is an increase of Iman. But from the other aspect, we say is that the Iman, by her not making the prayers, is not growing from that one aspect. She can make dhikr, she can study this, she can do this, she can pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make dua, but the physical prayer, she's not getting those hasanat. The physical prayer, she's not stacking up those rewards. So from that aspect, even if we say that the Iman isn't falling down, we say that the Iman is what? It's not in that aspect. Everybody clear? In that what? In that aspect. Now, moving on. Some scholars say that her Iman does not decrease. Rather, it increases by her being obedient, but she doesn't get the rewards. She doesn't reap on the fruits that the men are constantly reaping on. Men always pray. Everybody clear on this? And this is another, and this is another benefit or wisdom of the concept of a woman being the imam. A woman being the imam of the masjid. A woman being the leader of the Islamic country. We said the Islamic country. Democracy, that's different. We're talking about Sharia. Why not? This is unfair, this is wrong. We would say, if a sister is the imam of the masjid, she has knowledge, she's memorized the Quran, how does she want to lead the people in prayer when menstruation comes? This is an important question, honestly. What would she do? She can't pray. Everybody understand this? This is not like the imam is sick, here and there, he hurt his toe, he sprained his ankle. This is at least once a month that she's going to be going to this state and she cannot pray. Let alone the other factors with regards to everybody clear? The other what? Other mental, spiritual, physical factors. But just the concept of tahara in Islam. So Islam is a religion that goes with your fitrah, your natural creation. And it does not go against the natural creation. However, we live in a time and a place in which the natural creation is warped and bent and twisted. Make sense? And Allah knows best. Yes?
I still don't understand how she's deficient in intellect.
Right. We say the answer to the question is found in the hadith itself. The Prophet ﷺ, he said intellect, and he explains what it was. Obviously, it doesn't mean that a woman is more or less intelligent than a man. As a whole, it doesn't mean that. There's some women who are far smarter than some men. Okay? It doesn't mean that. However, it clearly states that her testimony is only half of a testimony of a man. Now, the problematic thing, or the problem that you may have, or you should have, is why. Why is a woman's testimony half of a man's testimony? But the hadith itself is clear. It's clear to the point. What's meant by deficient intellect? Stupid? Unwise? No. What's meant by that is her testimony is half. So that's what's meant by deficient intellect. Now, if a person wants to get to the nitty-gritty, as we may say, and put the things on a card, let's say, who's smarter, a man or a woman? Obviously, you can't answer that question because there doesn't exist. There are women who are smart and there are men who are not smart. But if you talk about the concept of aql and what the word aql in the Arabic language means, it's much more than just IQ. And people get high IQs and oftentimes are very stupid people. We're talking about common sense. We're talking about someone being resolute, someone being mentally firm and decisive. You take a man, you take a woman. As we said before, a woman is, in most cases, she's what? Emotionally pushed and driven. And in most cases, a man is going to be objective. This is what needs to be done. Regardless of this, how I feel, how you feel, this is what needs to be done. And a woman may say, no, that's not right, and so on and so on and so forth. So this is also a sphere or aspect of intellect between men and between what? Between women. And nobody can deny this. This is a bitter reality, whether you want it or not. And this is why a woman is the mother of the children and not the father. There are qualities that women have that men can never, ever have. And that's why the child is in need of the mother. And there are qualities that a man has that a woman can never, ever have, no matter how tough she is, no matter what she dresses like, no matter what she says, she is not the same. And Allah says in the Quran, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى. He says the male is not like the female, whether better or worse, superior or inferior. Those are all secondary issues. But the Islamic concept is that a male is not what? Like a female. They're different. The way they think, the way they look, the way they talk, their bodies, their minds, they are not the same. And anyone who says that a man and a woman are the same in every single aspect, their lives no doubt, they're not just denying religion, they're denying common sense. They're denying that which is a clear proof. A woman is not a man. A man is not a woman. A man can act like a woman, but he's not a woman. A woman can act like a man, but she will not be the same. So this is what this means. Everybody clear on this? So this is what we believe as Muslims, is that the Prophet he said these words, and that is what's meant by those words. Clear, inshallah? And the whole topic of women's rights, men's rights, feminist movements, so that's a long topic that we're not here to discuss. Make sense? Even if you don't agree with my answer, make sense? It's not a condition that you agree with everything that I say. My job is to teach and instruct the information. If you agree, alhamdulillah. If you don't, it's never a problem. Any other questions before we stop? Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much. Jazakallahu khairan.